Hi everybody and welcome to Barefoot TV, which provides you with easy access to knowledge, wisdom and guidance from experts and spiritual practitioners from all over the world to support you in transforming, growing and connecting with all things love, soul and spirit in your everyday lives. Now, for those of you watching for the first time, I am Leanne, the Barefoot Medium. I'm an international medium, channel, twin flame, transformational coach and author who is absolutely passionate about reconnecting people with their loved ones who've passed over, spiritual guides and their intuition, as well as providing access to practical knowledge and tools and techniques you can use in your everyday life to embrace what you love and what brings you into connection with your joy so you can be more of your authentic self. Now, kick off those shoes, sit back, relax, and enjoy this episode where I am joined by Lucinda Bakken White, an inner wilderness guide and expert on the process of self-discovery and personal transformation. She is the author of Confessions of a Bone Woman, Realizing Authentic Wilderness in a Civilized World. Lucinda has a deep connection with nature and an insatiable quest for learning, which has led her to study and work with internationally acclaimed philosophers and prominent figures across a broad spectrum of disciplines. Through personal coaching, public speaking, and her writing, she teaches people how to be authentically wild in a civilized world. Lucinda is joining me today to not only share her story with you, but to also talk about spirituality, balance, and happiness. Welcome, Lucinda.
Greetings, Leanne. It's so wonderful to be here. Thank you.
Pleasure. And can you just tell listeners and viewers a little bit about your background, how you came to be doing what you're doing, and what you're passionate about?
Well, I am what I call an inner tracker. I have watched what my thoughts and feelings are compared to what I look like and what I'm doing, and at some point realized there was a disconnect and wanted to get to the bottom of that. So I've spent a lifetime of following self-discovery and transformation and just peeling back the layers of my onion. When I was 27, I had a master's in business. I was working for IBM. I lived in Los Angeles near the beach in a condominium with my girlfriends. I was driving a yellow Porsche to work. And one day I just felt that the disconnect was so extraordinary. I had accomplished the American dream. This was in 1987. And I had done everything society and my family had told me to do. And yet on the inside, I was feeling unhappy and miserable. That caused a crisis. I quit my job and spiraled into a suicidal depression because I just felt trapped and sad and lost. And that was the real beginning of peeling back the layers of onions and getting at what is the point of life on earth? What is happiness?
Yeah, and I love how you talk about having all of it in the American dream, because we're often sold that concept of needing to have all these external possessions, or even to be achieving or being successful in career or study, or getting pieces of paper that say we're accomplished. But at the end of the day, it's when we come back within and to our soul and to our knowing, our being tells us when we're in happiness, joy and alignment with who we are. And I love how you talk about that disconnect. So talk to us a little bit more about, you talk about you went on to collect bones and you've been on some really wild adventures. Talk to me about
Well, my process of transformation, as I mentioned, was the layers over and over. And so each time I would try a different modality or technique. And in the beginning, when I was suicidal, it was a professional psychologist that helped me. And then I was doing great for a while and hit another roadblock and struggle and would go at it again and again. But something really transformative happened to me when I was 40. And I was a mother at the time, and I had been disconnected from nature, overemphasizing the tangible achievements you were just talking about, and went to an archaeological site where it was a buffalo graveyard where Native Americans used to process the buffalo. And when I touched a bone, a buffalo bone, some electricity ran through my body and awoken something primal in me. And after that, everywhere I went, I started to see bones, and I was collecting bones. And 15 years into it, I was doing this in secrecy because I thought it was weird and that people would judge me. And yet I loved doing it, and I was compelled, and I did it, and I was so immersed I didn't even know what I was doing until 15 years I peeked my head up, and I had made art out of all these bones and become intimate with the animal kingdom, and realized that symbolically the bones are our spiritual essence, the part of us that never dies. So I was going inward and reclaiming all those lost parts of myself that had been tamed and shamed and ignored, while I was overemphasizing the tangible human aspects and the awards and degrees. Mm-hmm. And we're talking also today about balance, and I just want to mention that I eventually came, because at first I rejected all the material things, and I eventually came to realize that they're both good. We are human beings meant to have a human, tangible experience. But for thousands of years, we've overemphasized that. And so going inward is what most people need to do.
Yeah. And I really love how you explain the bones being the essence of, that spirituality and what exists and continues to exist after we, from our soul perspective, have left this earth. And given my work as a medium, we all leave this earth plane at some point, and we leave behind those bones. So I love how you talk about that. And I just want to bring in the fact that, reconnecting with you and that joy and what you loved and how you felt judged around it, because there's a lot of that societal belief that if we do something different or something out of the norm, then we get judged for it, which then allows us, or some of us, to really disconnect from our authentic selves and from what we love and what brings us happiness and joy. So how did you overcome, firstly, the judgment around what you were doing and the joy that you found in that?
At first, I was sort of doing it on the side, just like a little hobby on the side. And then I would kind of try to talk about it with people, but didn't get a good response. So I just kept doing it. And it's one of those things where I was just so compelled. As a child, that's our spiritual essence, and yet that gets shaped out of us to follow a cookie cutter formula for success. And yet inside of us, there is something authentic that wants to emerge. And if you can connect with that kind of passion and something that you love doing without thinking, what will people think? Or will I make money? Things grow and evolve, and there's like little clues that you just follow. So I was compelled, and I just did it, and I was so immersed. I guess it was timeless because I was connected to my soul. I was so immersed in it, I didn't really even know how much time it was taking or what I was doing, and that I would shove the bones in the corner here and there in our living room that we never used, until one day it was just so full. I was thinking, wow, I need a place to put this. So I started arranging it into a barn, and it became a natural history museum, a cathedral. The energy is so palpable in here. And that was 15 years in when I looked back. And what happened by that time is I had developed a dichotomy. So it was fine at first, but I'm this person over here and I'm this person over here. So even though I had clues to my authenticity and a place, to do things that I loved, it was getting exhausting to switch gears and to maintain them both. So I realized that there was something there. And that's why I wrote my book. I knew that I wanted to emerge in all of my personalities. It's like coming out of the closet. This is who I am. This is what I do. This is my gift. This is what it means to me in the world. I wrote my memoir, and then that establishes me as an expert. So now I can talk, inspire, and teach people. So that's how I came out of the closet. It took a while. It was through the book.
And I love that because, I've been on a similar journey with being a medium and someone who communicates and connects with passed over loved ones. A lot of people don't believe in it, don't, have the awareness that we all have the potential to do that. And having stepped out of an academic environment as well with psychology, criminology and teaching at universities and a high profile professional career, I had to try and balance the two as well. And my soul was just new. That's who I am. What I do is I'm a medium. I connect with people in the spirit realms and I pass on messages and guidance and information. And it's really challenging sometimes to integrate those two worlds, or even the expectations that other people have of you and who you're meant to be in the world. Oh, yeah. And peeling those layers back is really quite interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, you really hit on something, because even the people who love me the most fear change. If I change, what does that mean for them? And they went kicking and screaming. It wasn't easy at all to reveal who I was in my own family, which is quite large, let alone in the community. Because it kind of comes across as, to the people who knew, the family members who knew, oh, that's cute, that's a little hobby, it's harmless, but it wasn't productive. So as long as I was doing everything else they expected me to do, it was okay. But when you want to merge and do and integrate and be that person, even in those environments where you're socializing with people that don't believe in it, yeah, you really come up, and so you have to be bold.
Yeah, and really embrace that courage from within that says, this is who I am. I'm going to own it and step into your power and into your light and really work out what fits and feels right for you, which can be quite challenging for some of us who are walking through that spiritual experience. And every day brings learning and growth in some way, shape or form about who we are. And that, for me, is what our spiritual life is all about, is learning more about ourselves and discovering and, really bringing out those gifts and those abilities and that wisdom that we have within, which is unique for every single one of us. So thank you so much for sharing that part of your journey and the experiences that you had. Talk to me about happiness.
Well, I love the word joy.
Yeah.
It's a state that I get into when I'm connected to my soul path and my spirit in the spiritual realm. And happiness is in there, but joy is more of a state, and it's a feeling in my body, and I can sustain it. And that's that childlike self where I'm doing something because I'm compelled. It's coming from inside of me. One of my teachers, Clarissa Pinkola Estes, who run Women who Run with the Wolves, she talks about a smorgasbord, and there's so many things if you go into the smorgasbord that you can eat that are amazing and nutritious and satisfying. But it's very different than you're all by yourself in the house and you have to think, what do I want to eat? It's the same thing with our soul path and our activities. That inner essence brings joy, and it's a higher vibration. And so if you can connect with it, I found that it helped me to heal a lot of mysterious skin diseases that I had, and even depression, because it's that higher vibration. It's your soul that's connected to the spiritual realm. It's the higher vibration. It's the healing vibration. It's the love vibration. And as opposed to when we're human and we're working on the tangible, it's exhausting. We're exerting energy. So I'm enlivened when I'm connected to my joyful self. And then that makes me happy. So it's, again, doing something that I'm compelled to do, that I'm fully present with it. I'm curious. That's the thing. I'm curious. So I just keep moving forward. And I'm not tired. I'm enlivened like a little kid running around, happy, playful, or, just feeling that I'm embodying it.
Yeah. And I love how you talk about the different types of food and what you want to eat with the smorgasbord. And for me, I often talk about, our spiritual path or our purpose, and what is that? And we're all very different. And I often talk to clients about, you're in your house, and your house has all these different rooms that bring you joy and passion and happiness. And sometimes you'll spend a little bit more time in one particular room because that's what's bringing you joy at this point in your journey. And then other times you'll move to a different one. And if you're feeling exhausted, stuck, frustrated, angry, or whatever those low vibrational energies are, take a step back and really go within. Peel back those layers, like you said, and just ask yourself one question. Am I in my own home? Or am I walking someone else's path, or doing what someone else wants me to do, and decorating my house the way they want me to? And really come back to you and go, okay, what is it that brings me joy? And I love that word, because joy for me is, if you want to manifest and co-create the life that you want, follow joy. Yeah. That is the path of least resistance, is your joy. It's not love, because joy gets you to love. Yeah. So thank you so much for explaining. Happiness is there, but joy is that next level up for me, and that next vibrational component that really allows you to be curious and go on that sense of adventure and know who you are and stand in your light. So thank you. And none of that has anything to do with your external possessions or your qualifications.
Right. Right.
And so many people these days have a concept of, I need more money, or I need more a career in this, or I need a relationship in order to be happy. And, where does that lead? What advice would you have for people in that situation who are looking for that external?
What I've learned is that I was seeking, sorry for that, there was a delay.
That's okay.
What I found is that I was seeking outside of myself what was missing on the inside. And it was never enough. I was always lonely or yearning or wanting, no matter how much I accomplished, no matter how many friends I had. And so I just kept grasping, it's fine to master survival. We need food, shelter, clothing. It's fine to love beautiful things in life and a big home or a car if that's what you're striving for. But when is enough enough? And a lot of us can have a lot of friends on social media and we still feel lonely. We can have a big family and still feel lonely. And I realized I was yearning and longing for myself. So when I went inward and got to know who I was authentically, and I was my best friend, and I got to know myself and spent time and attention with myself, I had these inspirations, and my muse arrived, and I was compelled from the inside to do things, and I was joyful. And then all of a sudden I was able to write the book and integrate and become myself, and the yearnings and the loneliness disappeared. It's all in me. It doesn't mean I don't have relationships and a husband and friends. It's that I don't need it, or get lonely and sad and then grasp outside of myself. It's all in here.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's where a lot of people get really confused with how we, embrace life and have that expectation or attachment to the external. And in reality, whether it's a relationship, a home, or finances, or whatever it is, a career, anything that is external of you can be removed from your world. If you're attached to it and need it to be fulfilling who you are, or your sense of happiness or joy or fulfillment, then you are looking externally, and it can always be removed, and you'll come back to, well, who am I at the end of the day? And so a lot of clients, and I'm reminded of one last week that came to me for a reading about love and relationships. When will I find him? Is he my right partner? And the guidance I always provide is, look with him. What is it you need? What is it you value in a relationship first and foremost? Get that solid and clear, and then you can step in and go, well, does this meet my needs? Is this aligned with my values? And a lot of people really don't want to hear that, because it means they have to do the inner work.
Yeah.
And it can be quite challenging to go within and do the inner work. What would you recommend for people watching this episode? Give me 2 or 3 tips for going within and doing that inner work so that they can really embrace that vibration of joy and happiness within.
Well, we all have an inner nature that mirrors the outer nature. So when we are in nature with our senses open, sight, sound, taste, smell, touch, we open the conduits, and nature has a vibration that can come into us and tune us, and also we can receive inspiration. So it's calming, it's receptive instead of outward manifesting. So it's a balancing effect, it's a tuning effect, and it connects us to our higher self so we can start self-informing. And then there's little lighted clues and steps that we follow. You're never going to get a big bang, this is what I need to do, and then there's a plan. You have to be in it and just follow it step by step. And because you're in it and it's joyful and you're connected to yourself in the spiritual realm, it's the journey. The second thing is, some people really forget, or it was tamed and shamed out of them, who they were as a child. So I recommend to a lot of my clients to daydream about who you were as a child. Remember, who was that spontaneous, curious, joyful, creative self? Maybe you were painting and your family said, you can't paint. Nobody makes money painting. Go be an accountant. Something like that. So daydream about who you were as a child. That will give you good feelings in your body and memories. And there's probably a clue in there, something you could do to reconnect with that original essence. And then the other thing is to create. We are in a fix-it society, which is fine, but fixing things implies something's broken, and then we focus on the problem. That's a very masculine energy, and again, we're talking about balance. Masculine and feminine energy are both good, but we're at times now where the feminine energy wants to bring the masculine more in balance, and the feminine energy creates. So if you create something new that comes from inside of you, you don't have to focus on the problem, and it's more joyful and feminine and authentic. And it can be as simple as coloring with crayons, or whatever you want to create. It even can be creating a business, but just create something new instead of focusing on the problem. Those are 3 tips.
Yeah. And I like the creativity and the bringing back that childlike sense of wonder, which is really what, that going on an adventure and that wonder and that curiosity is all about. And we've, I think, forgotten all about that in our everyday existence, with all the to-do lists and the what do I have to be today, and all of that. So, and I'm reminded of, I've always had a spontaneous, flexible, adventurous side, and I'm reminded of, I upped and took an adventure a couple of weeks ago, and my mother responded with, wow, that's really unlike you. I went, okay. It's really interesting that that was a perception that sat there, and I was conscious and aware of it. So it's reteaching and focusing our energy back on who we are at our core, without allowing other people's stories or perceptions or views of who we are to cloud what brings us that joy. So if you do love drawing, if you love singing or dancing or creating in, writing or, with digital things or whatever, do it. It doesn't matter if you're good at it. It's about just allowing yourself to really embrace who you are and create what is joyful for you. So thank you for sharing that. And, I'm currently in Mexico around the beautiful Mayan temples, and getting out into nature and embracing that beautiful energy is so powerful and so amazing. And I appreciate you bringing in that, because sometimes when we focus on what we want so much, it puts that expectation on it, and getting out into nature and away from what it is that you're focusing on sometimes creates the space for the universe and God or spirit or whoever it is you call it to bring in what it is that you're after, and to really allow you to get into the vibration that matches what you're asking for. Thank you so much, Lucinda, for sharing your knowledge, your wisdom, and your journey with us today. Can you share with people where they can connect with you if they'd like to learn more, if they'd like to buy your book and read a little bit more about what you do and how you came to be doing this?
And thank you, Leanne. I just love being here with you. My website is authenticwildness.com, and my book is available on Amazon. But if you go to my website, there are a list of my offerings. I publish a weekly blog, and there's also a link to my book.
Perfect. And can people connect with you on Facebook as well?
Yes, Facebook and Twitter are the two social media outlets.
Perfect. Thank you so much for sharing your journey and reminding us all to connect back with our inner selves and our authentic being, to bring in that vibration of balance and that spirituality that comes from joy and happiness in our lives. So thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you for your good work.
Oh, thank you. And for those of you who do want to connect with me further, jump on my website, thebarefootmedium.com.au. You can also connect with me on Facebook, Leanne the Barefoot Medium, Instagram, the Barefoot Medium, YouTube. Subscribe to my YouTube channel to get notified of all the beautiful episodes with ladies like Lucinda and beautiful men that are sharing their knowledge and wisdom as well on Barefoot TV. For those of you watching today, wherever you are, whatever you are doing, and wherever you are at in your journey, I wish you love, balance, and joy on your journey, and look forward to seeing you in the next episode of Barefoot TV.